Hello, everybody. Welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door. And by God, I'm going to do it to myself again. It's an opinion video, and we are going to look at the top 20 best signings this season in the Championship. Oof! These are always fun, aren't they? People might get a little bit emotional in the comments, but I'm going to have a go at coming up with a list of the 20 best signings. Not the 20 best players who have been signed, but the 20 best signings. What is my criteria for a good signing? I think we need to go to the rules, don't we? So look, permanent signings only. First of all, Cry Me a River. It's my video. Secondly, I'm doing a video after I've filmed this, the 20 best loan signings. So don't worry. I think these two things are very different, loan signings and permanent signings. They take a different approach and a different sort of criteria to judge them. I think it's comparing apples and oranges with permanents and with loans. So permanents only, figures via Transfermarkt every time I do anything on signings and we come up with any kind of figure. Someone will disagree because the postman's brother knows the kit man's auntie's uncle, who obviously works in the finance department of the club. Look, we're going with Transfermarkt figures, and, well, you'll see when we get to one of my main criteria that we can be quite broad about this. So no need for specific comments about transfer fees. So we're looking for value for money. Don't want to contradict what I've just said, because sometimes with undisclosed fees, frankly, you and me, the great unwashed, we have no clue what's been paid. But there are examples when we have a pretty solid report and we can judge whether good value for money has been got. Seasonal performance, obviously we can look at potential in the future, but best signings this year, what has the player done this season? Impact on club, this is a big one. What would have happened if the club hadn't have signed that player? Would they be better or worse off by signing this player? Did that improve everybody else around them? I know it's a bit intangible, but it's a fun conversation. That's what we're going to look at. Future value, again, we often don't know what the transfer fees are, but we can figure out whether somebody is going to be a highly prized saleable asset in the future. And the most important one, all 24 clubs have been considered here. This is the top 20 best signings of all 24 clubs in the Championship. Obviously, I'm being a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I'm just preempting a comment from a fan of whatever team. This is not the best signing at your club, your favourite signing. Just think about it when you're commenting that I've looked at all 24 teams here. And look, it's my job to make the list and look at all 24 teams. But remember, if you just comment on your team and your favourite player and say how he was A, robbed, and B, I'm a fraud for not having him at number one, just make sure that you've thought about all of the other clubs, because I have, and it gets a little bit maddening sometimes when you do that and you get Mr. Unnamed Person with the club badge as their YouTube avatar telling you that you're wrong, and you're like, do you even know who Wycombe have signed this season? Anyway, rant over, let's get into the list. And at number 20, Tyrese Dolan to Blackburn on a free transfer. He's featured in 36 games, lots of subs for him, a few goals, a few assists. By the way, that grading there, 6.69, is a SofaScore average. Again, please don't get emotional about SofaScore's algorithm for a rating. Write them a strongly worded letter. Don't cry in the comments. Impact and future value. Look, he's 19. It was quite an interesting one. They took him from Preston after he'd been there. He looks like a sort of super quick winger player. I can't put him too much higher, but I think he can be a good player in the future. He's shown some signs of already being Championship ready, and I thought it was an interesting one to put in at number 20, Tyrese Dolan. As is Anis Mehmeti, who's only 20 years old. Again, interesting from Woodford after being released by Norwich, a free transfer into Wycombe. And he's featured in 28 games, 3 goals and an assist in there. Impact, okay, is arguable. Wycombe ultimately could be finishing bottom. We'll find out at the weekend. But future value, I think they've got themselves a saleable asset or someone that could do good things in League One if he stays there next year. And what I really like is it's kind of a interesting scheme that Wycombe have. They actually picked up 4 players on this sort of second chances scheme. Mehmeti's one, so I really do like the signing. Number 18, Ivan Sanchez into Birmingham. Free transfer again, so obviously we think good value for money. Again, with free transfers, I don't know what the signing on fee is. I don't know what the bonus structure is. It's very, very hard to tell from our vantage point. I'm just get that in there right now. And for those people who think free transfers are free, don't be so naive. Goodness me, we know how football contracts can be structured in very, very interesting ways to make sure the player does get paid on the back end for sure. 40 appearances, 2 goals, 7 assists. That's good numbers, and particularly later in the season under Bowyer, pinging those crosses in for Jutkiewicz. So number 18, Ivan Sanchez. Number 17 is Pippa for Huddersfield, who's a young player. 630,000 reported by Transfermarkt. Fullback, he's played either side. 37 appearances, 2 goals, 4 assists. Really good bit of business that, I think. And they're better in general, Huddersfield, when he's in the team. Obviously, Toffolo, the other side, balances him out. But I think there's a saleable asset. And we all know with European players, it does open up that market that European clubs tend to be more interested in European players than English players sometimes, don't they? So I think a good sign in there and a definite championship standard fullback who can play either side. Good job, that one. Number 16, Duncan Watmore, an interesting one. He's 27, had been at Sunderland for years. And a classic Warnock here, in on a free, and they were rushing to get a contract signed full-time, weren't they, around Christmas. Played 29, 9 goals and assists. So look, 10 goal contributions for a guy basically given away by Sunderland, playing regularly in the top half in the Championship. I think you've got to give that one a thumbs up for Mr. Warnock. Number 15, might raise a few eyebrows here. Nathan Byrne of Derby, 28. Now, we assume good value for money because he was signed from Wigan and they were absolutely pillaged during administration. Now, what you think of that morally is, yeah, well, you decide because I'm not going to get into that. But sometimes you have to go to the place where you can get the best deal, and a lot of people went to Wigan to get the best deal. 40 games, 4 assists. Yes, Derby have sucked this season, haven't they? But Byrne down the right-hand side, he gives good set plays. He gives good crosses into the box. I think it's a good signing. And look, if they stay up, he's a championship-ready fullback. If they go down, well, Wigan have already proved in a distressed situation that Nathan Byrne is a good asset to have. Number 14, Ben Pearson. Went across from Preston to Bournemouth in mid-season. Definite championship-ready midfield. You know, I would say a top 6, top 8 championship midfielder as well. Undisclosed fee. He's only played 24 games. That is for both Preston and Bournemouth this season. 4 assists there. You can argue Preston let the contract go too long and Pearson then was able to jump ship. So we assume, we don't know, that the fee was fairly desirable for Bournemouth. They took Gosling out at the same time. He went off to Watford. So look, if, and this is a big if, Bournemouth have got more money in for Gosling than they have for Pearson, and let's be honest, Pearson arriving and getting into midfield with Lerma happened before the run of good results for Bournemouth, then I think that's probably a nice bit of business there, Ben Pearson. Number 13, another Ben Whiteman, and he was essentially Ben Pearson's replacement. They're 24 years old. I like this. It's expensive in championship terms nowadays, isn't it? 1.5 million. But 24 years old, a good central midfield player, loads of experience in League One. Impact at the club, fairly decent. We'll find out properly next season. And again, I'll go through my ifs, buts and maybes. If the amount paid for Gosling was more than 1.5 million, which was the amount paid for Pearson then, the next part of that was around that, then this is probably a good deal because the money all cycles around, and we hope that Preston did get a good bit of money in for Ben Pearson. You can see we're into the realms of a lot of speculation here. Moving on. There is number 12, Callum O'Hare. Excellent job, this one. He'd been on loan at Coventry the previous season. 23 years old from Villa. They've let him go in on a free. Look at that, 45 appearances, 2 goals, 7 assists, good output. He's ended the season really nicely, creates a lot of chances, plays off the front. And I think Coventry have themselves a championship-ready creative player who's young, who's English, who they essentially didn't spend any money on. So, again, free transfers are not free. We don't know. But looks like a good deal to me. And I think he's going to be a good player going forward, Callum O'Hare. Number 11, Elijah Adebayo. Good fun one, this one. Came in at January to Luton. Only 23 years old. Undisclosed fee. Again, we don't know what that is. From Walsall. Big, huge, strapping striker. 16 appearances, not all starts, 5 goals already and an assist. That number probably changed actually yesterday. For those who want to be completely pedantic, I prepared this video before Luton played Rotherham yesterday. You've always got to warn them off, haven't you, the pedants? But I like it. It's more interesting recruitment from Luton, who may well need a replacement for James Collins next season, who's been a great striker for the Hatters. And Adebayo looks young, looks up for it, and nice to see people going into the lower divisions for their signings, prepared to pay a fee as well. Luton into the top 10. Callum Britton, again, lower divisions from Milton Keynes into that brilliant Barnsley team this season. Right wing back, undisclosed. You can debate it with Transfermarkt if you want. 39 appearances, 5 assists. Obviously, impact on team has been big, actually, because those wing backs, him and Styles down the other side, have been really, really good. 23 years old, was it? If Barnsley can keep functioning in the top echelons of the Championship with 23-year-old English wing-backs, I think Styles might be even younger, isn't he? Then definite saleable assets in the future. The danger with Barnsley, you just don't know whether they're, quote, good Barnsley players or really, really good players. We will find out, won't we? Because a very sort of unique setup and way that they play. But I suspect that Britton is the latter, and he's a very decent player. Number 9, Vitaly Janelt. Brentford do it again. Not maybe going to be one of their most spectacular ones, but look, 22 years old, German under-21 international, just over £500,000. He's played loads of games this season because of Christian Norgaard's injuries. 35 games, look, 3 goals, 3 assists. Obviously, he's functioning in the top 3 of the Championship as a central midfielder, and he's only 22. We know how good Brentford have been at sort of recycling and recruiting and retooling, and in comes another sort of young, very viable central midfielder. So Vitaly Janelt, number 9. There is Gus Hamer. A lot more expensive at 1.35 million, but a very interesting player. I think he'd been at Feyenoord. I think he's Brazilian by birth, but you can see a Netherlands flag on there. 1.35 million is a lot of money for Coventry, who were promoted from League One. But I just like the recruitment strategy of, right, can we get a star that, you know, might be worth 5 million, 7 million, 10 million one day. He's certainly been box office this season. 41 games, 5 goals, 2 assists, including that crazy header from outside the box against Watford. I think if Coventry can build and move up a few places, obviously that'll be their plan each season. As Hamer gets a little bit older, I think they could have a very viable asset on their books, or very decent Championship central midfield player there. Number 7, Jamal Lowe. Again, we're going back to Wigan, and Swansea took Jamal Lowe off Wigan for 800,000. You've got to look at the numbers as being very good there. 14 goals. This guy is a winger. He's featured in most of, well, all of, I think they played 45, won't all be starts, games for Swansea this season. Obviously, he's not a forward. He has been deployed up front. and still got many of those goals. I'm sure if you ask Swansea fans, they would prefer to have dropped 3 or 4 million quid on a striker rather than 800,000 on Jamal Lowe, who's then managed to go and get 14 goals. That's not Jamal Lowe's fault, and this in isolation is a good signing. Maybe they did need a striker into the bargain as well, but again, that's not Jamal Lowe's fault. And again, on Wigan and administration, you know they've got a good deal. 800,000. Whatever you think of that morally, you can comment in the lovely section down below the video. Number 6, Josh Laurent. This is just excellent. Free transfer from Shrewsbury. Josh Laurent, 25 years old, 44 games, 3 goals, 3 assists. Pretty much straight into a team that's been in the top 6 in the Championship. I think he might have been at Wigan before he was at Shrewsbury. Picked up, dropped into that central midfield with Andy Rinomhota. And yes, ultimately Reading have not made the playoffs. That's not Josh Laurent's fault. Maybe if John Swift had been fit all season and Omar Richards, Liam Moore at the back, that area of the pitch has been massively consistent. And to pick up a League One player on a free transfer and just drop him straight into the Championship, viable midfielder all season, I think is excellent work. Number 5, Michael Helik, Polish centre-half. And I can't remember the name of the team. Krakovniak, I don't know. The Polish team there. 720,000. A Polish international centre-back, aged 25. We saw him play against England. Look at that, 42 appearances. 5 goals from centre-half and an assist. Part of that Barnsley back 3 that's permanently up on the halfway line. Good from set plays. And look, it's the Euros in the summer. We know that these players that can represent their country are very, very saleable assets. And we know about link-ups with Polish players all around Europe. Players of that nationality tend to head out of their home country. So I think that's going to be a saleable asset and certainly popped up on a lot of people's teams of the season. Didn't he, Michael Helik? Number 4, Kiefer Moore, again, another Wigan player. And we just got to look at the goals here that Cardiff have essentially dropped 2 million quid on. Okay, he's 28, but I think you still get 3 or 4 really good Championship seasons out of Kiefer Moore. And 20 goals straight away in the first season. Completely key to the way Cardiff played under Harris and under McCarthy as well. And he just looks now, Kiefer Moore. It's been a great development up through the lower leagues, off to Ipswich, obviously, and then loaned down to Barnsley and Rotherham and then into Wigan. And it's been a great climb. And he's obviously just a bona fide Championship goal getter now. And 20 for the season. That tells its own story. I suspect if you told most clubs at the start of next season, you're going to spend 2 million quid on a striker and he's going to score 20 goals in his first season, everyone's going to be 2 thumbs up, great deal. So well done, Cardiff, on that one. Number 3, Rob Dickie. Again, expensive, 2.5 million. But this is a 25-year-old English centre-back who's decent with his feet. And 42 appearances, 3 goals and an assist. Got in my team of the season. And that player, as soon as I say that, I'm thinking about people like Adam Webster. These English players, they're high premium, especially a centre-half that can play. Obviously, only 1 season in the Championship. He's done very well. But potentially, again, London-based. It shouldn't matter. London-based, English centre-half, decent with their feet, age 25. Could be worth a lot of money to QPR or a very decent Championship player going forward. Number 3, Rob Dickie. Who's number 2? Francisco Ciaralta. This is a difficult one because this is the Watford Udinese link-up. So I have no idea what was paid, but we can almost assume that it was a good deal because why would the owners do a bad transaction? It's got to suit both Watford and Udinese, whatever happens, else that's just ridiculous. You wouldn't stitch yourself up on a deal if you owned both clubs, would you? Ciaralta, 23. I didn't realise he was that young before I did this video. So undisclosed fee, 26 appearances and a single goal for Watford. But when we're talking about impact on the team, I mean, it's blindingly obvious that when Sierralta came into the team next to Ekong and Messina and Firmino with Backman behind them, that Watford defence shut up shop. Good head it, kick it defender. And again, options to sell. I don't want to sound like I'm being a simplistic Englishman here, but these players South American player that's gone to Italy, that's always of interest seemingly to a lot more clubs than English players in the future. Will he have a crack at the Premier League? We will find out next season, but really, really good signing for Watford this season. And my number one is probably fairly obvious to all of you now, but Ivan Toney just ticks all the boxes, doesn't he? 25 years old, English. We think 5 million quid with add-ons if Brentford were to be promoted through the playoffs. Now, again, if you can show me the deal memorandum in the comments, then fine, but let's not speculate over transfer deals that we frankly don't know about. But that was widely reported. 30 goals, 10 assists. Just incredible numbers, brilliant impact on the team, replacing Ollie Watkins, Said Ben Rama not there anymore. Brentford functioning very, very high up in the table as well. Third place, look, they were top in February as well, weren't they? And Toney, just a huge part of that. And again, we talk about future value. Well, what is Toney worth? He scored more than Watkins. Watkins went for 25, 30 million, didn't he? So he's either worth a huge sum of money, or you'd think if he stays in the Championship, he's just going to score loads and loads of goals. A really, really great pickup by Brentford yet again. So that is my top 20. Let's just go over the rules. If you do want to comment, I am so happy to hear from you. Remember, we are talking permanent signings only. The best loans video will be coming out later down. We're going to record it straight after this, probably. Figures via Transfermarkt. Again, speculation. Let's not get too bogged down with actual numbers. We don't know what the bonus structure is, what the signing on fee is, what the agent payment is, end of season bonuses. We don't know any of that stuff, and we barely even know the fees. And remember, all the fees are split over years, and then they have the amortization ratcheting on it as well. It's completely over most of our heads. Let's not get bogged down with the numbers, and that parlays into value for money. What we do know is whether it's a good saleable asset afterwards. Seasonal performance, I've looked at the impact on the club. I've looked at potential future value, and most importantly, please, when you're commenting, I have looked at all 24 clubs. Of course, I am very, very happy to hear who the best signing was at your club this season. But remember, this video is the top 20 signings in the whole division, ergo 24 clubs. So remember, if you are critiquing my list and you only comment on your club, I will just ask you, well, where would he go in my list? Who else would be in your list? Normally what people do when I argue that, they just take my list and add their player at the top of it. So let's try and get a good, constructive, credible conversation about what represents a good signing and who have been those players this season in the Championship. That was my top 20 best signings, 2020-21. Get involved in the comments. You don't have to do a top 20. Who would be your top 5? Who do you want to nominate from your club that maybe I should have considered? What about somebody who isn't on the list without using the outraged language like robbed and I'm a fraud? Why not comment a player who's not there without going mental at me and suggest one that I maybe missed off that you think could be on there? There's nothing personal about any of the players that got missed off. There we go. I think I've covered every possible ridiculous comment that we could get in. Hopefully, it was a good bit of fun and a good idea about some of the best deals in the Championship this season. Get commenting and look out for the best loans video, which I'm going to record now, and we'll split these. We'll probably get them both up today. It's Wednesday the 5th today. So, yeah, it should be a good fun day in the comments. Let's just say thank you for watching. Over and out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.